lesson on two-point perspective. And the first thing we're going to start with is a horizon line. Who remembers what is a horizon line?
That's all right.
Go ahead, Alex.
It's the mountain where the ground meets the sky.
Exactly. It is the line separating the sky and the land, is where that they meet. And this is very important when you do perspective. We've done 1 point perspective, now we're on 2 point. So the difference is we're going to make 2 points, okay? So make one, instead of one vanishing point, you're going to spread them out a little more, and you're going to make 2 points on your horizon line. If you recall, 1 point perspective went down. This is going to be a little more spread out, like this example here. Okay, now we're going to work on buildings using 2 point perspective. What I'm going to do is start with a building on the side. I'm going to do one in the foreground and one up in the air, like a floating one for fantasy art. What we're going to do is one line. Same way we started a building with 1 point perspective, except now we're going to use the 2 vanishing points. So you go to the top of the building and use your ruler and follow it down to the vanishing point. In the same way we did 1 point perspective, we're going to follow from the end of the building down to that point. Then you want to decide how thick you want your building to be. I'm going to make mine a skinny tower. So we're going to end our building. What I'm going to leave are those lines for teaching aspect, and I'd like you to leave them in your sketch pad, but you can then erase the horizon line going through your building, which should work a little better for you. Now you're going to go to the second vanishing point, since this is called 2 point perspective, and have your line go all the way down to that second vanishing point. Okay, now when all of your buildings follow this rule, they're going to have the same perspective. And remember what perspective is when things are bigger when they're closer and they get smaller as they go back in the distance. Okay, does everybody see how to use those 2 points? One over here, one over there, wherever you put them on your horizon line. And then we're going to end our building. Now, remember what we taught you about windows? If you're going to do windows on your buildings, they follow the same points, which will help your buildings have more dimension. Whether you're doing a barn, a big building, if you're doing doors, windows, they should all follow this rule. Okay, then you want to follow them across and go to that other vanishing point. Now I'm working a little fast. You guys can slow down and go at your own pace. As long as you understand this concept, you can change your building, add the dimension you want, add the details you want afterwards. I just want to make sure you understand this concept by doing 2 more buildings, okay? That's your first one using the 2 points. Let's have one a little closer in the foreground. And so you can see how this same exact thing works with other buildings. Okay, do you see that line? Should we have a little short shed or should we make it a little longer? A little taller? A little taller? Maybe overlap? I just want to show you it doesn't matter what size. It works with any size building perspective. Okay, that's going to be the building in the foreground. It's going to be a little smaller than the one in the background because that one is a tower. Now you see how you go from the top and the bottom of the building to the same points. And then that's 1 point. You're going to go to the other point for 2 point perspective. Now I'm going to stop when I go through the building. 1, 2, to have dimension on your buildings. How far are you guys? Everybody on the second building, or are you guys still on the first building? First building? All right, do you understand how I did it with the second building? Use the 1, 2 points, and I'm just going to add the sides of the building. I'm going to make this building a little thicker because it's closer to you. And when things are closer to you, they are what? Bigger or smaller if things are closer to you? They're bigger, right. Things usually are bigger and they get smaller as they go in the distance. Now instead of adding a lot of windows, I'm just going to do 1. So I can do the 1 building floating in the air for fantasy art. And so make sure you get this concept. Now, like I said, I am working really fast. I don't expect you to be done as quickly as me, but at least you'll know this concept. So for my last building, think I'll put it over here. I'll offset it. I'm gonna have a little UFO type building floating around, maybe on a cloud. And we're gonna do the same idea. And if we do 3, I figure you'll remember 2-point perspective, right? Your first top of your building always goes to the first point, and the bottom of the building goes to the first point. And I'm gonna come around and see how yours are looking and seeing if this really adds dimension to your buildings. And now we're going to the second point, no matter where your buildings are. If they follow those 2 points, they'll all have the same lines going to the same points. We'll add different views. And for my building floating in the sky, can you tell what I need instead of a roof? I need a bottom of it. Okay? Now this was a quick mini lesson on 2-point perspective. We can go around and add details and more windows and things. I'm gonna make a little control center in my little flying one. And you guys can continue to use 2-point perspective. And the next lesson will be 3-point perspective, 4-point perspective, and then my favorite, 0-point perspective. So there's our brief mini lesson on 2-point perspective, using 2 vanishing points instead of 1. Bottom of the box also follows the vanishing points to do the final step.